We're going to have date night at the house. I'm going to show you how to fix a neat little meal that's budget friendly and sure to impress. Welcome back to the Four Seasons. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. We're going to do a nice little budget-friendly date night meal that you can do with your significant other. It's just nothing more than a classic salad and a sandwich, but man, is it packed full of flavor, and it's a way that you can kind of make something kind of be gourmet and yet it be very approachable. So stick around. Okay, so we have two apples here. One is a Gala, and the other is a Granny Smith. Granny Smiths are tart. Galas are very sweet. The flavor in a Granny Smith is as close as you can get to a cider apple as possible in a supermarket. These right here, they're just an apple. There's some other apples that look like this. If you'll look, you'll see some yellow colorations, little yellow, I guess you call them blushes. Really not blush, because blush is supposed to be pink, but little shine throughs of yellow. Two that are most popular is a Honeycrisp, and the other is Fuji. So Fuji will look somewhat like this. It will have some yellow splotches coming through, but it will be almost a burgundy brown. This is red. It's not bright red, but it is red. If you look at a Honeycrisp, the Honeycrisp, one side will be almost yellow, the other side will be bright candy red, and then almost candy apple red, which is kind of funny, being that's an apple. And then the sides will be blotches of varying degrees of yellow and red. Alright, but I love Galas. I think they have phenomenal flavor. So what we're going to do now is was gifted 2 apple slicers. You cannot find these. This cores and slices the apples. So what I'm going to do now is just place it over the stem like so, and then you just press down, and then it comes through on the other side. So I'm going to finish this up real quick and I'll show you the results. Okay, we got some beautiful apples right here, and all I'm going to do is now take my paring knife and do what it's supposed to do, which is just peel these, or pare, as they say, the apples. So we're going to finish doing this, and then I'll be right back. Something else I'm going to mention. When you're dealing with apples, go ahead and take a half lemon and put some water in there and make the water acidulated, and that will help with getting the apples from turning brown. So go ahead and do that. Now all I'm doing is just cutting some bite-sized pieces. It's not really a dice, it's just cutting across. I'm doing about, I'd say, 1/4 to 1/2 inch slices across. Nothing big, just again bite size for this, because we're making a salad with this. And so you just want something that'd be pleasurable to eat, but big enough that you can kind of pick and choose what you want. It's enjoyable, you know, along those lines. So I'm going to finish this up, and I'll be back in a second. That right there is a nice bunch of apples. Alright, so I've already drained the lemons, and there was some seeds in here, as you remember. And so what I'm doing now, I'm just taking and using my hands to catch any seeds, and I'm putting another half of a lemon in there. So this is roughly, I would say, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice that I'm going to get out of this half a lemon. And it's not exact science, but basically what I do is I find a good sized lemon. I acidulate my water with about half the lemon, and I use the other half in this recipe here. So that's about a tablespoon. Okay, I've got roughly a cup and a half of seedless grapes. Now the trays I'm using, I thought they would not have a high lip. If you got some trays without a high lip, you can actually put 2 trays on top of each other, take a long knife and cut like this and cut all your grapes at one time. But I don't have any trays like that, so what I've got to do is cut these in half. But like I said, this is a cup and a half red seedless grapes, and so I'm just cutting them in half. Okay, all the grapes going in now. Okay, I've got 2 stalks of celery, which is always contentious in my house because my wife don't like carrots or celery. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these up very finely, and I'm trying to get roughly about a cup of chopped celery. If you'll notice, I've got these cut into about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch pieces, and I'm making roughly an 1/8 to 1/4 inch slice across. So this is a fine chop here for doing a salad, but this is traditional. So I mean, even back then people had problems with celery. I mean, I've heard it said that it's when you want to have water with hair in it. So we're going to finish this up and get this chopped. Okay, that took a little bit of doing, but that is roughly 1 cup of finely chopped celery. Now we've got to toast up a cup of walnuts chopped. All I do is I just take just a couple drops, not much, of oil, and just kind of put it in the pan and toss them around until they get kind of toasted and start caramelizing just a little bit. We'll add this in. Now we're going to add in the final 2 ingredients, or actually 4 ingredients. Just adding a little bit of salt, not much. And to that, I'm also adding in a good cracking, sorry about that, hit the camera, but a good cracking, be more professional looking with this camera angle, of black pepper. And that's just a taste. My recipe says a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and just a little pinch of black pepper. When I say black pepper, I'm talking about McCormick's peppercorn medley grinder, and again, just so you know, it has coriander, black peppercorns, pink peppercorns, white peppercorns, green peppercorns, allspice. So it's got all kinds of stuff in there. I add a little bit more black pepper than my recipe normally calls for, and I add just a little bit less salt, but you can change it. Basically, it's salt and pepper to taste. Now I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of sour cream. You can use yogurt if you had it, but I don't have yogurt. But I do have sour cream, and that's for the lactic acid. Now, because we're in the South, I'm going to use about 3 to 4 tablespoons of Blue Plate mayonnaise. I'm going to do 3 right now just to see how this mixes together. But I mean, my recipe calls for up to 4. Now you might be wondering, why did you put in the sour cream? The original recipe never calls for sour cream. Yeah, I know, but also doesn't call for grapes. It doesn't call for a lot of stuff if you go back to the original recipe. There is a saying that in cooking, fat is flavor and acid is life, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. So, if you watched any of my shows on doing fermentations, you'll know that I do acid adjustings, and I talk about the different acids. When I did my blend, I was talking about lactic acid and how it reacts. And then if you watched how I've done things with malic acid in some of my fruit recipes, I'll talk about that. And then sometimes I'll use lemon juice and talk about the effects of citric acid. And I've got some upcoming recipes where I'll be doing grape. And grape has tartaric acid. Each acid has its own profile and flavors. So, for instance, lactic acid rounds out a flavor. It just has this mellowing, rounding out flavor. The tartaric acid kind of gives a little body. The malic acid has almost a berry-like quality. It's what gives most berries a berry-like flavor. There's a type of banana called a butt-buster banana. Huge. Weird name. And it's high in malic acid. And so people say it tastes like berries. Well, that's the reason why. And then when you want something uplifting and fresh or whatever, you go to citric acid, which would be the lemon juice. So this is a little loose. Let me see how this does. Needs more salt. Okay, that right there is on the money. So you can always add more salt, but I always skimp a little bit on my salt at first. And so I know I'm going to need salt usually. But I skimp on my salt because you can always add, you cannot take it away. But that's got all the right flavors. Now, what am I going to do with this? Well, it's now noon, and I have a mediation coming up in about an hour or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the fridge and let this chill. And then we'll put this in a lettuce bowl and have this as a salad with some sandwiches I'm going to make. So I'm doing a quasi-fancy little snack meal tonight for Tasha. And like I said, I've got mediation, so I've got to hurry up and get this done. This is one of those things you can do ahead of time, even the night before. And then it can be sitting. And then the sandwiches I'm going to do, they're so freaking easy that this is a nice little date night meal. This is a nice little movie night deal where you just kind of sitting watching movies. So I definitely recommend doing this ahead of time. So I'm going to get this wrapped up, put it in the fridge. Next time you see me, we'll be starting on the sandwiches. For this video, one of the things we're going to do for the sandwich is we're going to take some roasted red bell peppers and peel them. What I did is put them in the broiler, and I put them under a piece of saran wrap in this bowl so they have sweated. Over here I have water that is salted water, and now I'm putting portobello mushrooms in. This is a little trick to do mushrooms. You basically boil them until the juices come out of them, and then you just let them finish cooking. You don't have to grill them, you don't have to do all that stuff. It's a little trick I learned. So they do it in some of the recipes. You have some 5-star chefs doing this now. So I thought I'd give it a try and see how it works. Okay, I've got roughly about a tablespoon of mayonnaise, blue plate of course, and I'm adding just a few splashes of balsamic vinegar, and I'll start incorporating this. I'm going to start off with maybe a teaspoon, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the onions right here, I'm going to sweat these down and caramelize them. I put just a little bit of water in the pan, nothing much, just to start the process of breaking it down. Then I'll let them continue cooking down in their own juices and caramelize while the mushrooms cook. Oh, I did want to make mention, these right here are wafer thin onions, so they're anywhere between a 1/16 and an eighth of an inch thick. So these are wafer thin slices that I tried to cut as best I could, just because, you know, it helps with the process of breaking them down. The smaller it is, the better it is to break down when you're cooking. While the onions are cooking and the mushrooms, they're just finishing up, I'm going to go ahead and peel this. All you got to do is, it's already pretty much peeled itself. You just pull this top part out. It's hard to hold a camera in your hands and do this at the same time, but you just pull this out and then the peels just pop right off. I'll show you this in a second. Now we'll just run a knife through these peppers. Okay. These are all chopped up. These are browning nicely. I'm just going to add a pinch of salt now to this. Okay, so now I'm going to toss in a knob of butter. I would say that's just roughly, I'd say just a slice of butter, maybe a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. That's all. It's salted butter as well. Now I'm adding in some black pepper. Always I use peppercorn medley from McCormick, so I'm just already pre-ground a pinch of that. Okay, so I'm going to do something very southern, put mayonnaise on this bread and toast it. So that's how I'm going to get my toast to toast good. To make the salad is easy peasy. You just take lettuce and make a bowl out of it, and then fill it with your Waldorf Salad. Super simple. For the sandwich, what you do is you slather it with some of the balsamic mayonnaise. Lay down a strip or a few strips of the peppers. Do your Portobella Mushroom cap. Then top will goat cheese, and then on top of this will go our caramelized onions. There we go, and then we'll just put the top on here and cut. And that is the sandwich. Here it is, the Waldorf Salad with a Dagenhart sandwich, which is just nothing more than a roasted portobello mushroom sandwich. Please go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.